Hey, how you been? Today is March 25th, 2024. My name's Tim, the BTWN guy, and you're watching BTWN News. And it's been a little bit of a spell since my last video. There's a few reasons for that, not the least of which is it's hard to put up content that won't get me in trouble. And we are waiting out some things that happen to the YouTube channel. If you have your own YouTube channel, you know what I'm talking about. And there's other reasons as well, but today I'm glad to bring you another video. Christian publishers refuse to print MacArthur's new book, and this is going to be an interesting video. And I'll just get into it. John MacArthur's latest book, The War on Children. You've heard him talking about it, and it's yet to be published. And there's a controversy brewing about that, so we'll get into that. I found out about this on Twitter. And Julie Roys. Julie Roys is the woman who is after John MacArthur. She has written 62 articles about John MacArthur in a 4-year time frame. That's 15 and a half articles per year, more than one article per month. Julie Roys is trying to discredit John MacArthur and all of his ministries. And she began this campaign right after John MacArthur told Beth Moore to go home. Are the two actually related? It would seem so. Julie Roys is a she if she's not a feminist, she's very much leaning feminist. Okay, so here's her post on Twitter. Following allegations John MacArthur failed to protect child abuse victims, publishers have declined to publish MacArthur's new book, The War on Children. I'm going to demonstrate to you how Julie Roys writes factual things to cause the reader to come to a false conclusion. All right? And it's pretty easy on this article. So this is her posting the article on Twitter, and here is her investigation of Pastor John MacArthur. Here are her 62 articles she has written in the last 4 years against John MacArthur, and here's the one in question. And let me see, can I zoom in on this? Inside this article, Julie Roys writes things that are true. And she actually tells you why the publishers have refused to print her book. But it's actually the exact opposite. The average reader, the exact opposite conclusion that the reader who reads this article would come to. All right, let's just read the headline. Book publishers refuse. Let me do this for you. There. Book publishers refuse John MacArthur's War on Children, following child abuse controversies. All right? What do you conclude from that title? It's easy to make a false conclusion and say that the book publishers refused the book because of the child abuse controversies. But that's not what she's saying. That's how she has phrased it, but she never says it. That title makes you come to that conclusion, and that title contains true statements, but it causes people to come to a false conclusion because the book publishers did not decide to not print the book because of the controversy. If they did, it's not known. She doesn't know it. Okay, and we'll jump into it. All right. Here's how she writes the article. Following allegations John MacArthur failed to protect victims of child abuse, publishers have declined to publish John MacArthur's new book, The War on Children. An employee at Grace to You confirmed with the Roy's report, confirmed this. Boy, you would think that, wow, that's an open and shut case. And again, you've come to the wrong conclusion if you think that the book publishers aren't publishing it because of the controversy. According to a still available post on Google Books, The War on Children was supposed to be published by Thomas Nelson in 2022. However, MacArthur's broadcast ministry announced last week that the book would be published by the new MacArthur Publishing Group. In April of 2022, the Roy's Report received a tip. What kind of tip did they receive? They received a tip that Nelson has canceled the release of The War on Children. They didn't get a tip that it was canceled because they didn't get a tip of why it was canceled. They got a tip that it was canceled. The Roy's Report emailed Nelson about the planned release of the book, but did not receive a response. We have sent additional emails to them since then, but still have not heard back from the company. That's 2 years of emails. Thomas Nelson is not responding to the Roy's Report because I would assume that they know that Julie Roy's is not a legitimate journalist. She's completely slanderous, and in my opinion, she's all she does is hit pieces. She's completely biased and writes articles like this. The tip came about a month after. Okay, the tip of the canceled book came about a month after the Roy's Report published an exclusive story revealing that John MacArthur had publicly excommunicated a former member, Eileen Gray. So it's the whole Eileen Gray story that anybody who searches the internet knew about even before Julie Roy's. It was a story on the internet. It's been a story before Julie Roy's even picked it up. But she's taking credit for the exclusive story that she wrote. And she says that the tip came about a month after she wrote the story. So she's connecting them, but she can't connect them. She's putting them one right after another chronologically because that's actually a true statement. Again, she's putting true statements down about what happened, but she's not proving they're connected. She's not proving that one has anything to do with the other. And now she goes through and she does this time and time again. In 62 articles, all she does is repost and slander John MacArthur. The follow-up story by the Roy's Report about 2005 allegations, David Gray, this, that, and the other thing, in prison, all through all her articles. In response, MacArthur wrote a letter. Decades later, Wendy Goy wrote to MacArthur. MacArthur has not responded. Today, the Roy's Report spoke to, okay, now everything that I just went over there is a hit piece, one right after another, which is the reason why she's writing this article, is to share those links and to get people to consider her arguments, the arguments that she's been making over and over again, that I've made videos about. Protesti's made better videos than I have. Our friend Justin Peters made videos about it. A lot of people have made videos debunking what Julie Roy's has put together. But here she is again, taking every opportunity to put it out in front of people. Now, why was the book canceled by Thomas Nelson? Like that first paragraph, she quotes a Grace to You staff member. Okay, here it is. Today, the Roy's Report spoke to an employee at Grace to You who says that because of the book's strong stance on controversial issues, a lot of publishers don't want to work with us. You know what? Julie Royce has no reason to conclude that her articles, her slanderous articles, had anything to do with these publishers saying no to this book. The only answer she's got no answer from the Thomas Nelson, and the only answer she got from Grace to You is that it's because of John MacArthur's strong stance on controversial issues. See how slick she is? All she did is write true things in here, but it is the exact opposite conclusion of what you might think when you read that title. Book publishers refused John MacArthur's War on Children book following child abuse controversies. You could write anything on there. Like, you could write John MacArthur has Shepherd's Conference following child abuse controversies, or John MacArthur celebrates his 52nd year in ministry following child abuse controversy. And that's how silly it is. That's how warped and twisted Julie Royce is. A lot of readers will read this and just conclude, hey, John MacArthur, he's being called out. If you read the Twitter responses, you see that people are coming to the conclusion that I believe that they are. And that is that because of the controversies, people won't publish John MacArthur books anymore. But is that true? I went to Thomas Nelson. Here's Thomas Nelson's website. And I looked at the dates of all these, and these are all the books that Thomas Nelson has recently published by John MacArthur. And this one here, Safe in the Arms of God, this one was published April, 3 months after Julie Roy's allegations. That was printed, and that is a book about children, the truth of heaven about the death of a child. It's a book about children, and Julie Royce claims that Thomas Nelson, or she frames it. She doesn't say it. Again, she never said it. She only framed her article that way, that you would conclude that Thomas Nelson isn't publishing MacArthur's stuff because of the child abuse accusations from over 20 years ago. 24 years ago? I don't know. Been a long time. And the church has dealt with it. The church has been over it for a long time, and Julie Royce is on attack. So this is the most recent book published by Thomas Nelson. Oh, you saw how many there were. There were, I think there's about a dozen books published by Thomas Nelson. This one is just a foreword by John MacArthur. So that doesn't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 books since Julie Roy's slanderous release and her claim of all that. 16 books. That was since the tip that she got. Funny. Christian publishers refused to print John MacArthur's new book, but no worries, ladies and gentlemen. No worries at all. John MacArthur will be publishing that book in-house by himself with Grace to You publishers, whatever way that they're going to do that. The funny thing is, I've been thinking a lot, because John MacArthur's been doing so well physically lately. I'm remembering back how Julie Royce, about 13, 14 months ago, John MacArthur wasn't, he took off from January and February. He took off because he was resting. and he was preparing for the Shepherds Conference. And Julie Roys was spreading rumors out there that John MacArthur wasn't doing well and he's close to the end of his life and they should just cancel the Shepherds Conference because John MacArthur's not going to speak at it. He's at the end of his life and they're just using him. He's on his way to passing away, the end of his life, and they're just using him to get people to go to the Shepherds Conference, which is pretty hilarious because he went to the Shepherds Conference when they said he wasn't going to. He spoke 3 times, I believe, last year. And then this year, he did even better. He did even more. Usually, I was told in past years that John MacArthur took a lot of time off in the beginning of the year. And if you look at how much he preached this year, I'll tell you, before Shepherd's Conference, this year of 2024, he preached more times than he did in 2023 in that time frame, 2022, 2021, and the year 2020. He preached more this year at and great sermons on end times, Revelation, lots of really good sermons. I've been listening to him. I hope you have been too. But I think it's funny. All the haters they just can't wait for the next opportunity to try to tear down Pastor John and his ministry. And that whole Martin Luther King thing came up again. Comes up every year. Pastor John is firm, as you should be if you know who Martin Luther King is. He wasn't a Christian. He lived a sinful life. Not only that, he didn't have proper doctrine. What was it? Should have looked it up, but I don't think he believed in the Trinity. But that whole Martin Luther King came up again, and the progressive Christians are all up in air about John MacArthur. How dare he say that Martin Luther King wasn't a Christian? And Julie Roys picked that up, wrote an article or two about that. She's so happy that somebody called Pastor John MacArthur out on his view about Martin Luther King. What else can I say? I don't know. I miss making videos. I get stuff going on with YouTube, stuff going on in my personal life. But all is well. All is well. Those of you who have faithfully been supporting what's going on here, I appreciate that. I still have the bills that I have in regards to all the online subscriptions and things you got to pay for a website and all that. And appreciate those of you who give on Ko-Fi. And if you're interested in giving, there's a link in the description of this video. And one thing that you get to do if you're on Ko-Fi is you get to see all these videos that I do publish on YouTube. You get to see them ad-free and before they drop here on YouTube. So that's kind of cool. I look forward to reading your comments. I have missed interacting with you, the viewer, and I know at this point at 19 minutes, only the true BTWN people are watching still. And let me know in the comments that you watched the whole thing. That's always an encouragement to me. I'll be reading and interacting with the comments more than I did in the past because I miss you guys. And look forward to your comments about this. Publishers refusing to print John MacArthur's new book. That title right there. Christian publishers refuse to print MacArthur's new book. That's a true statement. That doesn't make you come to any false conclusions. But Julie Roys, in her twisted world, presents it another way. A sinful way, I do believe. Till next video, God bless. and take care. See ya.